We start with the reaction to President Trump's address to a joint session of Congress, his first since returning to the White House. We're going to begin with House Speaker Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, thank you for joining us this morning. Probably the biggest issue in the last election was inflation, high prices for most Americans. The president imposed those tariffs yesterday. Prices likely to go up. How is that good for consumers? How does that square with his campaign promise?
Well, we could talk about tariffs. I mean, he's already proven that they're very effective, and it's a tool to level the playing field with our international trading partners. But let me say, George, the speech last night went overwhelmingly well. It was not a speech for the mainstream media. It was a speech for the American people. I saw a poll this morning from CBS that said that 76% of viewers thought they viewed it favorably. It was very well received in the House, except by the Democrats, of course, who resorted to this sort of pettiness and I even had to eject a member from the chamber. I think that was the first time in history. Pretty sad reflection, I think, on the members who did that.
You know,
but overall, it was a good night.
You bring that up. In past State of the Union addresses, joint addresses to Congress, Republicans have taunted Democratic presidents, yet they weren't thrown out. Why did you throw out Congressman Green?
Well, the only example I can think of is one, you know, the famous Joe Wilson, where he uttered something in a Barack Obama speech, but he quietened down immediately and was quiet for the rest of the night. Al Green was trying to interrupt the entire proceeding. But I'll just say this. If the Democrats want a 77-year-old congressman to be the face of their resistance heckling the president, then bring it on. But we couldn't allow that on the House floor, and so I had to eject him. I didn't want to do that. I hate that it resorted to that, but we've got to keep decorum in the chamber. This used to be a celebrated event, you know, pomp and circumstance, and both sides would applaud for the president. You know, we did that for President Biden on the lines that were there. But last night, the Democrats couldn't even stand for the Americans that President Trump was recognizing in the gallery. I mean, you had the families of, you know, Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley and Corey Comparatore, Americans who had lost their lives. They couldn't stand and applaud for the capture of the terrorist mastermind of Abbey. It was really a sad affair. The
president also had Elon Musk in the chamber, even as he was saying the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. Isn't Elon Musk an unelected bureaucrat?
Absolutely not. He's a patriotic American who is allowing us to do something that Congress has not been able to do for decades, and that is actually find the data from the bureaucrats who hide a lot of this misuse of taxpayer dollars. And the president went through a long list of it last night. That's why I think the American people responded so well. They're tired of the nonsense, and we needed someone like Elon with his algorithms and his expertise to comb through the data and to find these abuses, and we will eliminate them. So he's doing a great service for the country, and he ought to be applauded.
Well, many of your members of Congress, Republican members of Congress at town meetings, are facing protests over Elon Musk and those cuts and what it means for veterans and other federal workers.
Yeah, and some of those protesters are paid by George Soros and other organizations. And, you know, this is a planned event. Democrats are professional protesters in some of these places, and they show up early for the town halls. They fill all the seats, and so the actual constituents of these members of Congress are not able to get into the venues. So we've actually advised our members, don't even do the town halls for the time being, because they're just going to set you up for an ambush. But you should certainly have events for your constituents. You should use technology like telephone town halls, and you should have small groups by industry or by organization and be there with your constituents. But we're not going to play this game that the Democrats are trying to do as these setups.
Government runs out of money on March 14th. You going to keep it open?
We are. We'll have a continuing resolution that will go through the end of the fiscal year, and we'll pass that out of the House and send it over to the Senate. And I certainly hope that reasonably minded members on both sides of the aisle will do the right thing. It doesn't help anyone to have a government shutdown. And we've been negotiating in good faith for many weeks to try to get to a top line that everyone could agree with. But the Democrats put in some very unreasonable and unprecedented demands at the end. So that's what's forced us into the continuing resolution situation. I call on everybody here to do it.
What's unreasonable about the Democrats saying that the president should spend the money that they've appropriated?
Well, if that's what they were saying, George, that'd be okay, but they're doing much more than that. What they want to do is insert language that would effectively tie the hands of the executive branch and the president. That would be unprecedented and I think unconstitutional. They wanted to, for example, one of the counteroffers was to have a minimum number of employees in every federal agency. I mean, we're just not going to do that, and I don't think we have the authority to do it, and the Democrats know that. So they were trying to apparently set us up for a shutdown situation, but we can't do that. We can't do that to the American people, and it's pretty shameful that it came to that.
Mr. Speaker, thanks for your time this morning.